Hi, Pallavi. Good evening.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Congratulations for your selection in the civil services examination.
Thank you so much.
So, just after getting the result, how were you feeling?
Uh, so I think first was a little bit of disbelief and shock. So I checked the result, the roll number a few times. And then the next feeling that really washed over me was relief because I didn't have to write the prelims again.
So, Pallavi, can you please introduce about yourself to us and to the audience?
Of course. My name is Pallavi Mishra. I have secured rank 73 in UPSC CSE 2022. I did my undergraduation in law from National Law University, Delhi, and I've been born and brought up in Bhopal.
How did you start your journey of preparing for the civil services? What motivated you in the first place to take up a career in civil services?
Sir, I think that what truly motivated me was my elder brother, who is an IPS officer himself. Uh, and during COVID, particularly when I saw him work with so much dedication and sincerity, even risking his own safety and health. And I saw the impact that he was able to make in people's lives who truly needed help at that moment, whether it be providing transportation for stuck migrants or ensuring that lockdown is imposed properly and that the administration is handling things efficiently. I realized that these services give you a platform where you are able to make significant change on a daily basis. So I think that is what truly motivated me to appear for the exam.
So, since you are a law graduate person and you are preparing for the civil services, there are many subjects that are overlapping, let's say polity section.
Right.
And maybe you might have studied ethics also as part of law, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
how your undergraduation helped you in your subjects, like for the civil services exam?
Sir, I think that it benefited me quite a bit because the understanding of the constitution, of the basics that you learn in polity, I already had them because of my undergraduation degree. And secondly, what benefited me a lot was that I was able to add a lot of details and examples because of my knowledge of the law, and also because I was preparing for the law optional as well. In my answers in polity, in my answers in ethics, I think that added a little bit of flourish, and that actually allowed me to perform very well in both GS2 and GS4.
We have talked about the motivation factor. Now, since you have qualified the civil services exam this year, so once you are into the service, like what you want to do in the service, what changes do you want to bring?
So changes in the services itself.
No. I mean, like
The
after you
society.
join the service, I mean, like the kind
What
of
change do I
service
want
that
to
you
make?
will be providing. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that that's a very big question because I'm just being inducted into the service right now. So I think my first priority is going to be learning as much as I can, is going to be relying on my seniors, on my trainers to be able to truly understand what it means to be an administrative officer. However, if I am given the opportunity, I think the first thing that I would try to improve upon or implement properly is sustainable living, because I think it's very important not only in the long term with respect to global warming and climate change, but it also allows you to ameliorate the present conditions. It allows pollution control, it allows access to pure resources that is essential. So I think that would be a goal that I would like to achieve. And secondly, sir, I think that I would like to work towards ensuring that women in the district that I'm posted in or in the place that I'm posted in are able to access all of the resources that are available for them. So I think you can call it women empowerment in a larger sense, but I think these two would be my first priorities.
When aspirants start preparing for the civil services, they see the syllabus first. And
Mhm.
after seeing the syllabus, they get a notion that the syllabus is very vast. I
Right.
mean, a lot of subjects they need to study. So, how did you plan your preparation, like keeping in mind the vast syllabus of UPSC?
Sir, I think that's a very good question because, of course, the first thought that goes through your head when you look at the syllabus, that itself is a couple of pages long, is that this seems impossible. It's so vast, it's so dynamic that you can never truly be sure of what the exam is going to ask you. So my strategy was to first be able to make sort of collate the sources that I wanted to rely on. What I did was I created this basic guideline of these primary sources with respect to every subject that then I started working on. I wanted those to be my base. And once I finished covering those textbooks, I started relying heavily on current affairs, because I think that current affairs and reading the news can give you a very good idea of which direction any particular subject is going to be, taken in. And you can sort of anticipate the kind of questions that can be asked. So after covering my basic primary books, my second focus was on reading the news regularly, which I sort of did along with my studies as well. And the third thing that I found to be perhaps the most important is looking at past year questions, whether it be prelims or whether it be mains. I think that looking at past year questions not only gives you an idea of how the question is formulated and the kind of areas of particular subjects that are questioned upon, but it also allows you to sort of anticipate the questions that can be asked this year. So I think this is a 3-step formula that I applied both for prelims and mains.
Okay. So nowadays, the prelims examination, the first stage of the examination is considered to be the most difficult phase of the like UPSC civil services itself, because it is the stage where, like, maximum number are shortlisted. I mean, like, they are put out of the list, right?
Right.
Only few portion of the candidate are able to make it through the prelims exam. So what was your strategy to prepare for the prelims exam, and like what were the challenges that you faced?
So I think I would like to start with the challenges because you already mentioned those. Firstly, it's the idea that this examination, which almost 11 to 12 lakh people are going to appear for, and only 10,000 of them are going to qualify for it, is very daunting. So that was a big challenge. The mental struggle and the battle that this is a very selective exam. It's an exam of elimination. So that was a big challenge that comes to your mind. Secondly, when it comes to prelims, the syllabus isn't necessarily as defined as mains syllabuses. So when we talk about prelims, we're talking of largely subjects. We're talking of history, geography, science and technology, environment and ecology. And these are very broad subjects that you can't really pin down. So that becomes a challenge to be able to cater down and find what you want to read and how you want to read it. That also was something that I found challenging. So my strategy when it came to overcoming these challenges was, as I said, firstly, have a good base. Strong foundation always counts for a lot of points, whether it be in prelims or in mains. Having a conceptual understanding of a lot of subjects, especially for subjects like geography, for history, for science, for environment, that allows you a lot of leeway to make informed guesses, because you can never really 100% know when it comes to prelims. So having a strong foundation, firstly, is important. And secondly, I relied a lot on tests. So what I did was I tried to solve almost 10,000 questions before I appeared for the prelims. And that meant solving almost 40 to 50 full-length tests. 1.5 months prior to prelims, I would sit down regularly from 9:30 to 11:30 and write a test for myself and spend sufficient time on analysis, because that not only allows you to understand how the question is framed, what the answer should have been, but it's a good revising technique because you're reading so many subjects while solving those questions. So I think tests became very important for me and allowed me to sort of attempt questions which I knew and also recognize what questions I didn't want to attempt.
So the gap between the prelims exam and the mains exam is very less. I mean, like about 3 to 4 months. So during this time, like, how did you manage your study for the mains examination? And at what stage did you start practicing the answer writing? Because mains examination is subjective type where you need to write your answers in a conventional manner. So how did you plan for it? How did you execute it in the examination?
Sir, I think that this is an area where I'd made a mistake in my first attempt. This is my second attempt. In my first attempt, I was easily able to clear prelims with a good margin. However, I could not clear mains by a margin of some 4 or 5 marks. And what it boiled down to for me was that I did not adequately practice answer writing. I had spent just a month or a month and a half in my first attempt on writing answers, and I realized that I needed to practice more. So in my second attempt, I kept on writing answers, and I kept on writing 3-hour long tests throughout the preparation. So even when I was preparing for mains in my second attempt, I kept appearing for tests. I kept writing answers. So I think that answer writing for me has been a continuous journey. I didn't start or I didn't stop. So that was very important. Secondly, as you asked about the time period between prelims and mains, my strategy when it came to answer writing in that short period was to join a lot of test series. As you know, if, with Lukmaan itself, I joined 3 test series, one for essay, one for ethics, and one for GS. In addition to that, I was writing some other tests as well. So I made a very strict schedule for myself when it came to GS, when it came to optional, and when it came to essay and ethics. I made a good schedule that allowed me to write tests almost every alternative day leading up to the examination, up until 15 days before the exam. The last 15 days, I didn't write any test because I wanted to rest my arms. I wanted to be well rested. So I didn't write. In the last 15 days, I was reading questions continuously. I was reading questions, creating answers in my head, going through solutions. But I did practice quite a bit before that. I wrote quite a lot of tests. So I think that was an important part of the strategy for me.
So, like, since you are a blessed person, I would say you have like your sibling, I mean, your brother is already an IPS officer.
Of course.
So, what role did he play? I mean, like, in your preparation?
So you said you put it absolutely right. I'm very privileged to have an elder brother who is not only brilliant, but he himself has qualified this examination a couple of times, in fact. He was sort of a guide for me because I didn't join a traditional coaching center. I only joined test series. So my brother played a very important role in sort of guiding me in the initial stages. That becomes very important so that I don't go astray. So he helped me select the course material that I wanted to refer for. He would constantly advise me on tests that I was writing, how to attempt answers, or what answers or what questions not to attempt. And especially when it comes to mains, I think his insight was invaluable, especially in ethics, because I would sit down and go over case studies with him. As a person who's already inducted into the service, as a person who's working in this field right now, his insight was very helpful to me in that sense. I would also ask him to, just solve a particular question. I would ask him, what would you write in this answer? For instance, you tell me what you would write, so that it would give me an idea of how he would approach a question. And that would also allow me to sort of think about things in a broader fashion. So I think that insight lent a lot to me being able to score well.
So, just after the mains examination, I mean, like, after you have written all the papers in the mains exam, so what feeling did you get? I mean, like, did you feel like you have done your best now? Like, you need to, I mean, like, wait for the result, or like you immediately started preparing for the personality test, which is also known as interview. So, what was your strategy just after writing the mains exam?
So just after writing the mains, first of all, the first feeling that washes over you is of tiredness, because you are so tired after appearing for such an extensive, time-consuming examination. You were just tired. So I knew for a week I just wanted to sleep. I didn't care how my exams had gone, what my paper was, what my result was going to be. So I relaxed a little bit. But in fact, I was in the end quite worried about my GS score, because I could not attempt one of the case studies completely. So I think I left 10 or 20 marks worth of questions in the paper. So I was quite worried about GS4, that I wouldn't be able to score well, but I think I did sufficiently well. I got 123. All, of course, thanks to Lukmaan quite a lot. But I sort of had a feeling that my papers hadn't gone terribly. They had gone well enough that I knew I would qualify mains, that I would have to appear for the personality test. So I kept that in mind. But I didn't want to burn out before the personality test, because I knew that the interviews would start only in February. So that gave me a window of a good 3 months at least to relax, but also prepare for the personality test. So I think it gives you the most time that you have to prepare for is the interview. So I took it lightly. I didn't want to be burnt out and be tired. So I would study for only 2.5 hours a day up until December when the results came out and I realized that, I've qualified mains. That's when I started studying again. So a good 2.5 months, I relaxed. I didn't do a lot.
So like when it comes to, let's say you have already qualified the services now, right? Now, if you're planning for your career ahead in the civil services itself, like what else you're doing for it? I mean, like after the results are out,
What else
as in like, for the services, let's say like you will be inducted in the services. So meanwhile, are you engaged in something productive, or like, now you are little bit relaxed since the results are already out, and now like, once you are into this induction phase, like, then you will be doing something, let's say like, after getting into the foundation.
Sir, I currently my plan is to relax for a few days, but I have thought about what I want to use this time, the break time that I have for. I'm actually writing a research article on a few legal issues as am a law graduate. I've been in the process of writing a research article that I would like to send out for peer review soon. So, firstly, I'm doing that, and secondly, I'm engaged in an NGO that teaches children in Bhopal. So I'm going to try and contribute as much time as I can to that place to engage with as many children as I can and to help everybody, who approaches me, whether it be any student. I think education is perhaps the most important tool that you can have in your arsenal. So currently my plan is to help out as much as I can with that NGO.
So since you have joined 3 test series with Lukmaan IAS, ethics test series, essay test series, and GS Mains test series, right? So during this time, did you get to interact with S. Ansari sir? Or like how did he help you in your, let's say, answer writing process or in the test papers?
So I didn't get to personally interact with Ansari sir because I think that I had joined a little bit later than most people would have. But I think Ansari sir played a very important role in my understanding of ethics itself. See, I'd never read ethics before. I'd never attended a coaching where you would be taught these subjects. So I think a lot of my conceptual understanding, not only when it comes to answer writing, but also when it comes to concepts, came from watching his videos. He With the test series come the explanation videos in which Ansari sir takes quite a lot of time, very diligently and in a very detailed manner. He goes through each and every question, not only with respect to how the question is framed, what are the key words in the particular question, how do you construct your answer, but he also talks a lot about the concepts that are involved in understanding that question. Secondly, I think that first of all, of course, his understanding is so pristine, it's so brilliant that it lends itself to just listening to him talk. So that also helps you a lot because when he's speaking and the things that he says, you can always, I think you can verbatim put them in your answers. Just a conversation, I think, with Ansari sir can be turned into an ethics answer. So I think that really truly helped me because I started to think in a different way. When you approach ethics, it's necessary that you should think in a fashion which is suitable to that answer. And so I think the biggest learning that I took away from watching Ansari sir was that.
And so during the preparation phase, since it was your second attempt, like, it has been a long journey, not that long, means like it has been a journey of quite some time. So during
Long
this,
enough, sir.
yeah. So during this phase, did you ever face any kind of self-doubt or like, some kind of, let's say, like, confusion in the mind? So how did you overcome those challenges?
Sir, I think, of course, everybody, it's such a long process because it's a 1 year exam in itself, and you're preparing for a year. And especially if you're somebody who's not cleared in the first attempt, it becomes quite difficult for you to maintain the amount of optimism that you have when you first start off. You lose a little bit of that. Of course, self doubt sets in. And I think it's kind of heartbreaking when you fail. So you're sad and you're dejected. I did face all of that when I failed to clear mains in my first attempt. I was quite upset. But I think my parents, my uncle and aunt, my family has been extraordinarily supportive. So whenever I was in self-doubt, I would look to them to sort of reinforce their doubt, their belief in me. And that helped me overcome a lot of it. And the second thing is, sir, I'm very stubborn. As a person, I think I'm very stubborn. And once I decide that I want to do something, then I want to do it. And that stubbornness also helped me move past the feeling of hopelessness and dejection that you feel when you fail. I think that you have to put your feelings aside when you're appearing for this exam. And I think it prepares you for the rest of your life. But keeping your feelings aside and recognizing that it's normal to feel this way, it's okay to feel this way, everybody is going through it, but that feeling can't be the reason that you stop working hard. That can't be the reason that your determination falls. So I think it was a few you know conversations with your parents, go out, relax a little bit, then get back to it, bounce back like a football. I think these are the things that I would keep telling myself, and that helped me a bit.
Right. So if you want to, let's say, put in simple words, the qualities that a candidate requires to, let's say, face the challenges during the preparation stage, or like to prepare for the civil services, or to aspire for a career in civil services. So what would you say? What are the most important qualities that a candidate should have?
So when it comes to this exam, I think patience is the most important quality that you need to have, because patience allows you to be consistent in your preparation, which is essential. You can't study for this exam in a short period of time. You have to be consistent over a long period of time, and that only comes when you're patient enough. Secondly, I think you have to be hardworking. My parents always say, a smart person can be defeated, but a hardworking one can never be defeated. Because a person who is hardworking can overcome any challenge that is put in their path. They can find a way around anything. So I think that hard work also becomes very important. And thirdly, sir, I think balance is important. So a person who is balanced, not only in their outlook, because neutrality and balance is essential in the services and also for this exam. So you have to be balanced not only in your outlook, not only in your preparation, but also in your life, in your temperament. You have to be able to balance your health, your emotional health, your physical health, along with this very strenuous and arduous preparation that you're undergoing. I think these 3-4 qualities become very important. And lastly, sir, I think this is also very important. You should be accountable. A responsible person is able to be accountable to themselves, and they don't need external reinforcement or external motivation to study, to do something, especially with this exam. So I think a person who's accountable, who's able to sit and write a test whenever they want to do it, is accountable with the marks that they give themselves in the test that they're checking themselves, and is able to be responsible not only to everybody else but also themselves, is someone who I think can succeed in this exam.
What would be your suggestion for those aspirants who are going in college, or like who are just starting their preparation for civil services? What are those things that they should, let's say, like keep in mind, or they should imbibe to aspire for a career in civil services?
Sir, I think that firstly you have to be aware. And when I say you have to be aware, you have to be firstly regular with current affairs, and not only just reading a PT module or the coaching compilations of current affairs that come out. I think you have to be engaged as a person. So somebody who's interested in reading newspapers, somebody who is interested in the things that are happening in our country, in our polity, somebody who has an easier time studying for this exam. So you can obviously start with reading newspapers. Secondly, I think when it comes to preparation wise, um, firstly, understand how much time you have to appear. If you have a longer period of time, if you have more than 2 years, for instance, I would say concentrate on finishing the syllabus as fast as possible, because then you can move on to revisions, to flourishing that, to writing tests, attempting things. So I think that if you have a longer period of time, if you've just started preparation, you can focus on finding a core set of lists or a core set of books that you want to refer to, source material. Finish that as soon as possible, and then start adding flourish on top of it. And then you can start, attempting tests, etc. For students who are in college, sir, I would have one request. Please don't sacrifice your college life for this exam, because you need to be a holistic person, an all-round person. You need to have good personality just in life, and college experience is instrumental in giving you that outlook in that personality, because you've just become an adult. So I would say that if you are in college, that also try to balance your college life. Appear for Participate in different things, participate in competitions, participate in the fests that are happening, hang out with friends a little bit. So don't make this your life, because this will be your life for the next 2 years after your college is over if you're appearing for this exam.
So when it comes to balancing the time in reading the syllabus, like there is prelims exam, mains exam. So like how should, and in the mains also, there is an optional subject which takes a substantial amount of time. How should one prioritize at different stages for these two parts, prelims and mains, and in mains also with optional? I mean, like how should one divide their time in preparing for these stages?
Sir, I think in the first instance, in the first go, when you're reading the syllabus for the first time, when it comes to GS subjects specifically, you need to have a broader outlook. I would say have a mains type of outlook, as well as recognizing what's important for prelims, because most likely you will remember only 30% of what you've read in the first go. So you're not going to remember all the details, all the things that are important for prelims, you won't remember anyways. So I would say build a strong conceptual understanding in your first reading. Have a broader outlook. Don't limit yourself to what can be asked in a prelims sort of environment or in an MCQ. In the first reading, once you've done that, a lot of your basic or background preparation for mains sort of gets over. Secondly, I would say that when you start revising, if you have sufficient time, I would say then start concentrating on prelims. And thirdly, when it comes to your optional, don't leave it for the end. Of course, don't leave it for the end. It's very essential. It's the highest scorer when it comes to mains, and you won't have sufficient time between prelims and mains anyway. So I would say start preparing it side by side. After your first reading of GS is done, start working on optional as well as on revising your GS subjects. So you could easily divide your day in like 2 segments, where for 4 hours you're studying for prelims and 4 hours you're studying for optional. Once that is done, I think a lot of the legwork that you need to write mains is also over. And then, of course, 3 months prior to the prelims, you can start concentrating solely on prelims. Then you can start writing MCQ tests. You can start concentrating on prelims type current affairs, and you can start revising the entire syllabus from a prelims outlook. So I think that strategy will enable you to, perform well throughout the exam and not just in one of the exams.
So you are a well-rounded personality, I would say. I mean, like you are a person with brain and beauty, both of these things. You have groomed up yourself so well, maybe during your academics, like, in schooling or college days. And also you come from a very good family. I mean, like, family of educated people, brother is into the service, right? Like this plays a very good role in the life, ahead in the civil services. So thank you so much for interacting with us today, and also sharing your views on multiple perspectives related to, let's say, preparation for the civil services, maintaining a healthy balance between academics and preparation, and also, let's say, like, how to devote time. And you have also talked about how to face the challenges and, like, how to overcome those challenges that we face during the preparation time. So before we go out, like, any short message that you would like to give to the aspirants out there?
Sir, I would just like to say that it's a very tough journey, but it's not as tough as the service is going to be. So don't think that this is the end of everything. And once, this is over, your life can begin. Treat it like a job, I would say. And this is a formula that has worked very well for me. To treat it like a job, you go to your job and study for 9 hours every day. No excuses. Have balance in your life. Try to take care of your health, both emotional and your physical health, because that is also of utmost importance. And thirdly, I say if you approach this exam with a pure intention of helping people, of changing the society, then you don't need any sort of external motivation to work. So try to find that within yourself, to try to find the confidence that you have so that you can appear for this exam and do really, really well. And I wish everyone all the very best.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for interacting with us and sharing your views with us. It
No
has
problem.
been a really interactive session, and I'm very much sure that it's going to help a lot of candidates out there, like who need some kind of guidance or some, some kind of suggestions to start their preparation or to sustain their preparation during the journey when they feel low.
Right.
So, thank you so much once again from the entire
Thank you
team
for
of
having me.
Lukmaan IAS from S. Ansari sir's side as well. I hope you have a great career ahead, and we hope, you make, a lot of people proud.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for having me. And kindly, please extend my heartfelt gratitude in regards to everyone on the team. I think I am always going to be indebted for all the help that the Lukmaan IAS team has given me. I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a
having me.
good day ahead.
Have a good day.